Adam, thank you for joining us as always. Good to see you. Hope you had a nice vacation.
I did. Thank you.
All right, we have 315 positive cases now of COVID-19, 46 deaths in town. What are you hearing from health officials? It seems as though we plateaued, but there's a lot of, especially in the southern states, they're beginning to panic. So obviously you're keeping a close eye on that.
Yeah, so brought up this morning with the health officials, and right, we've plateaued or stabilized. Where we are seeing additional, or the few additional cases that we've been getting are in people that are ages in their 20s and 30s. So that would suggest there is still some community spread, right? This is not being spread institutionally, unfortunately, like it was earlier in some of our elder facilities or nursing facilities.
Mm-hmm.
So it still, I think, underscores the need to be careful that it's in the community, it could still be transmitted. And, to continue to use this tagline, we need to resist the urge and avoid the surge. Keep the masks on, still stay, be as safe as possible, because like you just said, basically almost the entire country, except for the Northeast, is, it's worse than it was for us 3 months ago.
Yeah.
The record amount of cases that are coming out of Florida and Texas and others are just stupefying, right? That there's so much spread. So I think we have to be very careful. I don't know what the fall will bring. I don't think anybody does, but I think the more careful we are now, hopefully the better positioned we'll be as we go forward.
Yeah, Florida and Texas, it's very alarming to hear, and really it slams home the reality that nothing is really going to change until we get a vaccine. So until then, everybody needs to be vigilant and be careful and wear a mask. Just wear a mask. It's real easy. I don't understand that, but that's for another day. We have a sidewalk project going on in town between Pleasant and Franklin streets. There's a lot of angst because of what's going on with the COVID-19 crisis. Is the construction hampering that? Have you heard any complaints from residents or business owners?
So I've not heard any complaints. Doesn't mean there haven't been any, but I haven't heard any complaints. I do know that a team of Mike Rademacher, the Director of Public Works, Jenny Raitt, Director of Planning and Community Development, Allie Carter, the Economic Development Coordinator, worked closely together and working with the business owners to try to coordinate work as best possible so that we are reducing the potential impact on businesses. We also contract, the contractor needs to make sure there is access to every business even while the sidewalk is torn up. Mm-hmm. And basically what we're trying to do is minimize the amount of time that we go from, old brick sidewalk, dirt, new sidewalk. To get that done within a week and a half period. A bit of bad weather, a little rain last week slowed us down a little bit in that regard. But, I was looking at some of the work done this morning. We've got brand new sidewalk along Broadway in front of American Alarm. We've got it going down on Medford Street. Hopefully by the end of this week, all of Medford Street will be done. All of Broadway and the businesses along Broadway Plaza, not the plaza itself, but the walk on Broadway Plaza will be done. And we're going to continue to try to move quickly as possible. I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but I would imagine a lot of the businesses are just happy and relieved to finally see this work getting done. Sidewalks in Arlington Center have probably need replacing since I started working in town a decade ago. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but I would guess many people are just happy to see this work starting, including myself.
And hats off to the workers, because the weather's been absolutely oppressive in the last week. So hats off to them and doing a great job as always.
Hot weather's good concrete pouring weather, though.
Yeah, that's true. Unfortunately for the workers, you're right. As far as we're doing this interview on a Monday, we have a select board meeting tonight. How about the parklets being proposed in Arlington Heights? What can you tell us about that? Obviously, it's to spur business during the good weather that we have during the summer months.
So this is sort of that same team of Mike Rademacher, Jenny Raitt, Allie Carter, including Dan Amstutz, the Senior Transportation Planner. They've been trying to work with business owners in all three business districts, Heights, Center, and the East, figure out whether or not repurposing space to allow for outdoor seating or outdoor commerce can be helpful. So this isn't a continuation of that. We had designated 2 locations in the center at the last board meeting, and now we're trying to do the same in the Heights. And we're not looking to just shut down parking for the sake of it. We want to do it where the businesses think it can be helpful. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why we've taken this measured approach, started in the center, now working on the Heights. The East fortunately has more sidewalk space, so it's less urgent to be able to provide some of these spaces, although we're still looking at that as well. And again, yeah, the hope is anything we can do as government to try to create safe commerce and keep our businesses afloat, we're willing to take a look at.
This week, we also have the another community conversation, the elevating the conversation, where we have just people of color talking, and hopefully everyone else will be listening to what they have to say. How important is it to have these community conversations? They've generated a lot of conversations, and they have been getting a lot of attention.
I think they're incredibly important. And I think we've unearthed issues that have been present but not talked about. Like you just said, I think it's spurred a lot of conversation in the community, some of which might, at least initially be pretty harsh or difficult conversation, but these are difficult conversations. Coming to grips with our history of racial inequity and racial injustice in this country are hard conversations to have. And Leon Andrews from the National League of Cities, who is we've been working with in training town staff and also as one of the panelists in the last discussion, I'm going to get it wrong, but he says we need to learn how to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And I think that's what we're trying to do here. Whether we're talking about housing and zoning or policing or hiring policy or school disciplinary policies, these are important conversations that need to be had. And I know there's also been concern in the community that these conversations have felt like they're one directional, that it's just people talking on the screen and others listening. And I understand that. And I think I'd say, this is the start. We're putting the issues out on the table, is spurring conversation in the community. And we're working on how we'll be able to make these conversations more two-way as we go forward. This is a long journey. This is not a one meeting solve and racism is over, right? This is a lifetime's work. This is work going to take on probably both of our lifetimes. So I think we've done a lot to get the conversation started in Arlington, and I hope that we can keep it going and engage more and more in the days to come.
Yeah, as you say, baby steps, it's the beginning. It's not going to end on August the 4th with the last conversation. I'm sure you're going to have more in the future anyway, too. Given the COVID crisis, it's tough to have a real honest-to-honest, face-to-face conversation. So it's not really a controversy, it's more of a discussion, is the Black Lives Matter banner hanging right now at Town Hall. Some people want it up, some residents wanted to stay there. You were proposing, and correct me if I'm wrong, that it would be good to display it in various areas of the town. You're going to be discussing that tonight also at the select board.
Yeah, so I think unfortunately, like a lot that we've been dealing with lately, it's all stemmed from a misunderstanding. The Human Rights Commission, the select board, myself, we collaborated on a resolution that the board voted on around the matter of Black Lives Matter and the hanging of the banner. That resolution said that it would be on Town Hall until the acknowledgement or celebration of Black Lives Matter Day on July 13th. And not thinking much of it at the time, we've celebrated Pride Month before, and I think we maybe put up some other things on Town Hall before, and then taking them down and continued the work that we do on those issues. So this was posed in that same manner. Definitely created some upset that we would be taking it down while these issues are still so present in the nation and in our community. So again, our intent wasn't to say Black Lives Matter for 30 days and not anymore. So tonight I'm going to be going to the board and saying, I think a month has gone by much faster than we would have predicted.
Absolutely.
And let's keep the banner up while I can work with the Human Rights Commission and other community stakeholders to figure out what the right way is to make this value statement of Black Lives Matter feel heard and feel heard and be made publicly in this community with the understanding that really there's no banner is going to fly on Town Hall permanently. So I'm interested in hearing the board's feedback on that. That is my plan.
Yeah, it should be interesting to find out. Last question, you said at the beginning of this interview, but no one knows what the fall is going to bring. We're less than 2 months away now from the first day of school, set for September the 8th. A lot of pressure coming from the White House in Washington to open up the schools, at least from the White House anyway. How comfortable do you feel with the first day of school coming in 7 weeks, given the problems, given the pressures, the political pressures? I know this is also a question for the superintendent and the principals of the various schools. How comfortable are you seeing that the first day of school is 7 weeks away with all these problems right now that we're facing and a lot of uncertainty?
I mean, I guess I would use that word that I feel a lot of uncertainty. I know the superintendent and her team are working really hard on putting together plans be presented, I believe, to the school committee by July 31st.
Right.
It's a fully in-school plan, a hybrid plan where there's some in-school, some remote, and then a fully remote plan. And I know they're working really hard. I don't know what the preferred plan will be yet. But sitting here talking to you today, it's hard to imagine that all children will be back in school full-time in September, just given everything that's happening in the country. Maybe it's the moderate view that I take as a manager. I would think maybe the hybrid approach would be the safe approach. When we inevitably see the first case in a school, what that does to how people feel about safety of bringing their kids to school, how that impacts teachers. I think that a lot remains to be seen about how things go in the fall.
Well, we're going to be seeing in the next 7 weeks, that's for sure, because it's sneaking up quite quickly. The summer's almost half over. It's incredible. Speaking of which, you had a staycation last week. Hope you're well rested. It's a Monday, time to get back to work, but you saved a lot of money on airline tickets this year.
I did. No airlines, all local, hiking, canoeing, swimming. It was good. It was a nice week.
Very nice. Very well. It's good to have you back, and we'll be talking to you next week. Obviously, we'll be paying attention to the select board meeting tonight and things that are going to be happening and unfolding during the week. Thanks a lot for your time.
All right. Thank you, Jeff.
Appreciate it.